It is January 2017, and after 11 years, the proposed hydroelectric generating station at the Bala Falls still has serious, unaddressed public safety issues. One of the public safety issues is that the proposed generating station would make the water in the Moon River dangerous outside of the proposed downstream safety boom. The upstream safety boom would need to be moved farther upstream, and during construction, the upstream cofferdam would risk damage to both the Bala North Dam and the district's highway bridge. First, the proposed downstream safety boom. To be blunt, the concern is drowning unsuspecting tourists. Here's an aerial view of the proposed construction site. North is up on this view, Muskoka Road 169 goes up the page, and in the red box is the site of the proposed hydroelectric generating station at the Bala Falls, and the Moon River flows westward. Here is some background information on why these are serious, unaddressed issues. In 2011, the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry released a document, Public Safety Measures Plan for the Bala Dams. And one of the requirements in this is that the public be warned in advance of increasing flow to the Moon River. Another item is the Canadian Dam Association has a document called Guidelines for Public Safety Around Dams, where they state that a safety boom acts as a physical barrier to delineate a dangerous water area. And the word delineate is serve as the outline of. That is, there is an obligation that the safety boom fully encompass any dangerous water. As further background to our concerns, as part of their assessment for this proposed project, in 2012, Transport Canada completed a review of this proposed project in which they stated that the maximum safe water velocities are up to 0.5 to 0.7 meters per second. And as we'll see later, the problem is the proposed project would create flows more than double this outside of the proposed safety boom. Transport Canada in 2014 did release an approval under the Navigation Protection Act, but what's very important is to understand what this approval means. The Navigation Protection Act has no mandate for the Moon River. Transport Canada has no mandate for any in-water recreation, such as the swimming, wading, and scuba diving that are very popular both upstream and downstream of the proposed project. So the 2014 approval from Transport Canada makes no statement as to whether boating would be dangerous in the Moon River as a result of the proposed project, or whether swimming would be dangerous upstream or downstream of the proposed project. So now we have this diagram, and what it shows is that the proposed generating station is outlined in the red box, and it would produce flows going downstream, westward, along the Moon River. And the problem is that the flows inside the proposed safety boom are just as fast and turbulent and dangerous as the flows outside of the proposed safety boom. And these flows would extend more than 160 feet down the Moon River outside of the proposed safety boom. That is, the safety boom would not delineate the dangerous waters as is required by the Canadian Dam Association. The next concern is the location of the proposed upstream safety boom. The methods and calculations in a Transport Canada document were used by the 2011 Public Safety Measures Plan for the Bala Dams to determine that the safety boom upstream of the Bala North Dam needed to be relocated 15 meters farther upstream, which was subsequently done in 2013. The Public Safety Measures Plan for the Bala Dams found that the upstream safety boom needed to be 50 meters upstream of the Bala North Dam. The Transport Canada calculations show that if the hazard, which was originally the Bala North Dam, is remotely or automatically operated, then it requires the safety boom to be an additional 10 meters farther upstream. So rather than 50 meters, it would need to be 60 meters upstream. However, in addition to the proposed generating station being automatically operated, the intake is upstream of the Bala North Dam. So instead of being 60 meters upstream of the Bala North Dam, the upstream safety boom would need to be 60 meters upstream of the intake for the proposed generating station, and that is, the upstream safety boom would need to be located about 75 feet farther upstream in the Bala North Channel. The problem is, this would prevent boats getting to or from Perks Place. Not being able to rent boats is an infringement on riparian rights, and this would require some negotiation or settlement that has not yet happened. The third concern is, rather than during the operation, this is a concern during the proposed construction, and that is of the upstream cofferdam. During the proposed construction, the proponent would need to build a temporary cofferdam around the intake for their proposed generating station. The blue arrow shows a view of where this would be. And here is that view. On the left is the district municipality of Muskoka's highway bridge over the Bala North Channel, and on the right is the Bala North Dam. The intake would be right across here, and in order to keep the water away from this intake during the proposed construction, the proponent would need to build a cofferdam. What I'd like to highlight is, you'll notice on the left here are the support piers for the district's highway bridge, and on the right are the support piers for the Bala North Dam. While not presented before for their environmental assessment, the proponent is proposing to use something called a soldier pile cofferdam, which is similar in construction to this retaining wall here, and that is, there are vertical steel beams embedded in the ground, and between those beams is timber lagging. The problem is these steel beams. They would need to have 1 foot diameter holes bored 5 feet into the ground in order to hold back up to 10 feet of water. So we can now put all this information together to show what the problem is. On the left is the Bala North Dam. On the right is the district's bridge, and at the bottom is the proposed construction site. The Bala North Dam is held up by the concrete support piers, and the district's bridge is held up by its own support piers. And the soldier pile cofferdam would be directly adjacent to these. That is, these 1 foot diameter, 5 foot deep holes that would threaten damage to both the North Dam and the highway bridge would be directly adjacent to them. This is the kind of environmental impact that is supposed to be disclosed to all stakeholders as part of an environmental assessment, and yet this is a new plan that the proponent has, was never described before for their environmental assessment, and this is one of the reasons why we say the environmental approval isn't valid anymore, because the proponent is making environmentally significant changes, and these have not been conveyed to all of the stakeholders. Here we have a slightly larger view of the proposed construction site, with the Bala North Dam on the left, the district's bridge in the center, and the proposed construction site south of that. And here's where it gets even more strange, is the proponent is showing that they would put a crane for their proposed construction site blocking the flow through the Bala North Dam. The MNRF has said the proponent isn't allowed to block flow through the North Dam in case it's needed during construction if there's an unusually high amount of rainfall. And yet here it is, just a few months ago, the proponent showing that they would be blocking the flow through the Bala North Dam. And the proponent is showing that they would put settling tanks in the Don's Bakery parking lot, even though this is not allowed by their lease with the Township of Muskoka Lakes. That is, the proponent is providing conflicting information to different stakeholders, and this is, again, the reason why an environmental assessment should be done, because it makes sure the same information is provided to all. So this is why we say there are serious, unaddressed public safety issues. It would be unprecedented to build a hydroelectric generating station in the middle of an extremely popular in-water recreational area. And the plans show they haven't figured this out. They would make the Moon River dangerous outside of the proposed downstream safety boom. The upstream safety boom would need to be relocated farther upstream, and the proposed upstream cofferdam would risk damage to both the Bala North Dam and the district's highway bridge. And the proponent is providing conflicting information to different parties.